everyone, in today's video I'm going to be discussing sinking funds. I'm also going to be talking about what they are, why you need them, and also the difference between sinking funds and emergency fund. Every year we all have those expenses we know that are coming up, things like Christmas, birthdays, and any type of insurance. But do you actually budget for these costs? How do you actually pay for them? Do you take the money out of your savings account or do you put it on a credit card? Well, the best financial strategy that I actually use is a sinking fund. Well, actually, to be honest, I have multiple sinking funds, but I've found that this is the best financial strategy for those expenses I know are coming up. So what is a sinking fund? So depending on who you ask, and everyone will have their own kind of definition and way of describing what a sinking fund is. But basically, to me, a sinking fund is when you take a certain amount of money out of each of your paychecks and you put that money towards a certain expense that you know is going to be arriving every single year. So things such as Christmas, birthdays, insurances, holidays, maybe something else that you like to buy every single year. It could be the new iPhone that you like to buy every single year. It's something that you know you're going to be spending your money on at a certain time throughout the year. It can actually help you to pay debt off quicker and also relieve financial stress throughout the year. You can also use them to actually help you to achieve your larger financial goals, whether that's for a baby shower, things like a new iPhone or a holiday that you're wanting to go on. It can also be for you to reach your financial goals too. So that's what a sinking fund actually is, but let's get into why you should have sinking funds. According to Clever Girl Finance, when you don't have a sinking fund, you may be forced to make these purchases through another source of funds, such as your emergency fund or your sinking funds or through some sort of credit card. A sinking fund helps for you to plan for those larger financial expenses. It also helps for you to track your savings goals, keep your debt low, and to also allow you to purchase items freely without having that sort of pinch or like gut-wrenching feeling, that guilty feeling. And when those bills or expenses actually arrive, you don't have that sense of panic or stress on how I'm actually going to pay for it. You know that you have budgeted within your pay to set a certain amount of money each pay, obviously, to build up that fund. So then when that bill or when that expense arrives, you can just take that money straight out and put it towards that expense. It also means that your savings and your emergency fund will not suffer, because I know, and look, I've done this in the past and I've done it so many times, that you build up your savings account, but you haven't got a particular goal for that savings account. So when these kinds of expenses arrive, so let's say, for example, I had my car registration arrive, which is around $900, instead of actually allotting, let's say, $20 per pay for the year to pay for that expense, I've just taken that $900 out of my savings, when that's actually detrimental to that goal. And look, we've all had that kind of feeling as well, and all those kinds of stresses in our life that, you know, sometimes we forget. We forget about those bills or expenses that come up every single year. And the difficult thing is as well is that they all seem to show up at different points throughout the year, which also can sometimes make it a little bit harder to fully budget for each of them if you're just having all the amount in the one account. I hope that makes sense. So say, for example, let's say that you've got your savings fund and all of your money is in that savings fund and you're just constantly taking the money out of that account. You're more likely to spend a bit more frivolously with that savings account rather than dedicating a certain amount of money towards a certain expense. Look, I've done this too. You know, I maybe had $10,000 in my savings, but whenever an expense would come up, I would take, you know, that $900 out of my savings account, and then I would maybe spend even a little bit more money or take even a little bit more out because I needed something. And I think that if you have your sinking funds and they're in order and you've got a particular goal and it's allotted to a certain expense, you're less likely to spend that money without having a good thought about it. It makes it a bit more difficult and a bit more, you have to really think about why you actually want to take that money out. And when those bills or expenses arrived, you don't have that stress or that anxiety around money, because what you have actually done for the year, you have budgeted for it. So the other day I actually got my car serviced and it was $617. Normally what I would do is I would actually dip into my savings, take out that $617 and pay for that car service. But this year, what I have done is I had actually built up that sinking fund up to $1,000. So when that car service came, there was no, oh my gosh, how am I actually going to pay for this? I'm going to have to take it out of my savings. That's going to affect me financially. That didn't happen. I actually went away from that car service feeling pretty good because I knew that there was no consequences for it. Now, before I go any further, please make sure that you do leave comments down below. I really want to build this as a community so then we can learn from each other and share tips and ideas with each other. So if you do have any words of wisdom that you would like to share, please make sure that you share them with everyone and leave that in the comment section down below. And also don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up as well, because it obviously helps out my channel a lot. All right, let's get back into the video. So what's actually the difference between a sinking fund and a savings account? A savings account is set up primarily for a much larger financial goal. So this is when you take money and you put it aside, but you put it aside for something that is worth more than a couple of $1,000s. Things such as a house deposit, a wedding, a renovation, something that is going to be more in the high thousands of dollars than just the hundreds or low thousands of dollars. It's also really important to note that these are not annual expenses. They're something that happen over a long period of time, whereas a sinking fund is for you to be using it at a certain period of time throughout the year. So a savings goal might be that you want a house deposit of $50,000. Perfect. That savings account is going to take you around 5 years to build up to. Whereas for a sinking fund, let's say for car registration, I know that my car registration is paid in October. So my sinking fund account has to be built up for October because that's when I know I'm going to pay for that expense. So just think of it. A savings account is more like a one-off years down the track. Sinking fund is for something that you pay consistently throughout the year. So what are the different types of sinking funds? Well, unfortunately, I'm really sorry to burst your bubble, but there is actually no one way of doing sinking funds. It's really personal and it is completely dependent on your lifestyle. Your lifestyle and my lifestyle are completely different. What I have to pay for, maybe you don't have to pay for, or maybe what you have to pay for, I don't have to pay for. But I am going to take you through now some of the sinking funds that I do have and my goal for each of them as well. So I actually have 7 accounts, and what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to read you out the 7 accounts that I do have. I use Upbank for my sinking funds just because they've got really cute emojis and I don't know, there's a bit more of a celebration when you actually reach your goal. So the 7 accounts that I have are car services, car registration and insurance, Christmas, birthdays, clothes, home insurance, and council rates. So each of these has a specific goal, and the way that I actually set these accounts up and set the goal is I use previous bills or I use previous transactions from the last year or two to roughly estimate the amount of money that I will need. But I usually go to the higher end. So let's say that it's, let's say I paid $650 for my car insurance last year. I wish. But let's say, yeah, I paid $650. I would most likely set that goal to $700 just because of inflation and sometimes things happen and the price goes up. So for my current sinking funds, the 7, let's start off with car services. I actually did have that filled up until 2 days ago because I paid for my car service, sorry. So that was a goal of $1,000 and I had actually reached that, but because I got my car serviced, I had to pay $617 for that car service. So now it's down to $382. The next one I have is car registration and insurance. So usually car registration is around $850 and same with car insurance. So what I've actually done is I've actually created a combined goal of 1,800, which I have now achieved. So I'm on 100% for that. Yay. Christmas, last year I think I spent like $650 at Christmas time, which is just ridiculous. Like Lewis and I went, I think, a little bit too overboard at Christmas time. So I've actually reduced that down by $200. So it's now $450, and that is for all alcohol, food, presents, everything. And I've got $120 in that one at the moment. Next one is birthdays. I had a goal of $1,200 for birthdays, just because it was Lewis's 30th this year. And, you know, I wanted to do something really special for him. So I bought tickets and I booked a van to go around New South Wales. However, because of COVID, we were unable to go. So I've still got all that money sitting in there, which is good, apart from the flights, because we had to get that back in credit. And that is sitting at $1,393. So when it comes time for Lewis and I to go away for a holiday, I'll be able to pay for that stress-free. Oh, this is also for other family members too. So this will be for my mum, my sister, my stepdad. Next one is clothes. Did I mention clothes before? I have a goal of $250, but like I don't really buy clothes that often. I buy them like, I don't know, once a year, just because I really hate shopping. And I always find myself going on those websites and then jumping off because I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend $200 on like two things. That's what is stressful to me. So I feel like if I do have that money set aside, I can go shopping and it'll be fine. I won't feel that stress or that, oh, I don't want to buy that because I don't have the money, whereas I do. So in clothes, I have $102. Home insurance, I have a goal of $400. I believe our home insurance was around $700 in January this year. So I've allotted $400 for that, and that has nothing in it so far. So next pay that I get, I will put, I don't know, maybe $200 in it, so then it's almost full. And the last one that I have is council rates. That is $600, so it's $1,200 for the whole house, so for the land and bins and everything. But Lewis and I we split bills like 50-50. So for the council rates, I put the goal of $600, and it's currently gone in there $260, which is really good because council rates I think come out in August, and it's July now, so I'll need to fill that up pretty quickly. But yeah, so that's all my sinking funds. I would really suggest, just some tips for you, is to go through your bank statement for the last year, find those larger financial expenses that you know that you pay for every single year, write them down, set a goal, set up all these different banking accounts. A lot of banks do it these days, like Westpac, ANZ, Upbank, I think 82-600 have all different separate savers that you can have. Write them down, set a goal, and just start slowly. This is something that you have to do consistently in order for you to live financially stress-free when those expenses do arrive. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you did enjoy today's video. Like I said, leave a comment down below, hit that like hit that like button, and I will see you in a video sometime in the very near future. Bye guys. Did you ever stop and think?